Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're unpacking a truly fascinating piece of sports history that's been unfolding right in Greenbrier, Tennessee. Since 1927, Friday nights in this community have basically meant one thing: Bobcat football. In a town like Greenbrier, a football program isn't just some extracurricular activity. No, it is the absolute heartbeat of the whole community. We're talking about 99 seasons of history, heartbreak, and absolute triumph on the gridiron. But right now, well, this century-old program is standing at a massive crossroads. Today, we're going to visually trace the journey of the Greenbrier Bobcats from their absolute peak in the mid-2000s through a devastating structural collapse, and finally, we'll look ahead to a totally pivotal 2026 season that is literally going to define the program's future. Okay, let's dive into this. Just look at the shocking pendulum swing of this program's fortunes over a 20-year span. Back in 2004, they boasted a 13-2 record and a state championship runner-up finish. It was a golden era for sure. But fast forward to 2024, and you're staring at an unfathomable 0-10, a completely winless season. I mean, how does a proud historic program go from competing for the ultimate state prize to not winning a single game? Well, to understand the depth of that valley, we really need to appreciate the peak. Section 1. The 2004 state final run, the high watermark. Let's step back to the Kirk Williams era. Back then, Greenbrier was a legitimate district heavyweight. In 2004, they faced an absolutely brutal playoff gauntlet. On November 5th, they handled McNairy Central. A week later, November 12th, they completely shut out Marshall County, 35-0. Then they took a grueling 120-mile road trip just to beat Jackson Southside. And on November 26th, they barely survived the semifinal, winning by just 2 points against Kingsbury down in Memphis. They battled all the way to Floyd Stadium for the Class 3A state championship against Fulton. And, even though they fell short in that final game, that incredible playoff run cemented the 2004 team in the community's memory forever. 13 wins. That number stands as the undisputed peak of Greenbrier football. It's still the program record. Out of 99 seasons of football, this is the one and only Bobcat squad to ever reach a state final. It set this incredible standard of excellence that everyone kind of assumed could just be sustained. But as we know, high school football landscapes shift, and unfortunately for the Bobcats, the ground was about to fall right out from beneath them. Section 2. The 5-year freefall, a structural collapse. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the sheer statistical drop-off when you compare the decades side by side. Look at the 2000s. Greenbrier was a functionally above-average program. They secured 68 wins, which is a very solid 57.6% winning percentage. They were highly competitive. But then, scan down to the 2020s to the 2025 season. Just 18 wins, a 30.5% winning percentage. The data here reveals a massive institutional collapse. And honestly, if things don't turn around quickly, the 2020s are mathematically going to go down as the worst decade in the history of Greenbrier football. Zooming in on just the last 5 years, from 2021 to 2025, the record is a brutal 14-37. That means the team only won 27.5% of their games. And this isn't just about losing on a scoreboard. It represents a real loss of that Friday night magic for the community. It's the painful reality of playing on a team that just cannot find a way to win, and seeing opposing fans start to literally outnumber your own. So why did this happen? Well, it wasn't just one isolated issue. Actually, scratch that. It was more like a perfect storm of problems. District competition just got way harder. Simultaneously, the youth football pipeline in rural Tennessee began declining as kids got pulled into other sports and activities. And look, a dry pipeline hits the varsity team hard about 4 years later when that talent gap becomes totally undeniable. Add in a multi-layered confidence crisis where players genuinely expect to lose, and brutal scheduling that offered zero easy, confidence-building victories. It was just a flawless recipe for structural breakdown. Section 3. Hitting rock bottom in 2024, 0-10. Under former coach John Elmore, the 2024 team went 0-10. That fact really deserves its own space. 10 tries, 10 different opponents, and absolutely no path to victory. And the season wasn't even close. District games were lost by margins that made the scoreboard a mere formality. It was the very first entirely winless season for Greenbrier football in 40 years. And this brilliantly illustrates just how deep the collapse really was. To understand the gravity of 2024, we have to look back to the only other winless season in program history, which was 1984. Buddy Corlew's 1984 squad played way before statewide playoffs and modern regional talent consolidation. The 2024 collapse? Distinctly worse. It wasn't just some weird anomaly. It was the result of a severe talent deficit stacked on top of a complete collapse of team confidence. By mid-October of 2024, the question wasn't if they would win, but if they could somehow just keep the margin respectable. But hey, out of all that darkness, there was a tiny glimmer of hope. In 2025, which was Elmore's final season before retiring, the team managed a 2-8 finish. Now on paper, sure, it's still a pretty poor season, but in the context of coming off an 0-10 year, those two hard-fought wins against Sycamore and West Creek, including a 30-13 win on senior night, were absolutely crucial. It proved that there were still players willing to compete. The lights hadn't gone dark entirely. Section 4. A new coach takes over. Enter Aaron Pitts. With the 99th season right around the corner, the program desperately needed a reset. So, the school made a really pivotal hire, bringing in Aaron Pitts as their 16th head football coach. Coach Pitts brings over 20 years of coaching experience to the table, most recently serving as the offensive coordinator at a winning program over at Laverne. But he's stepping into some massive expectations here. He isn't just tasked with calling plays, he is tasked with completely rebuilding belief across Robertson County. However, looking at the full picture, Pitts brings an overall head coaching record of 9-23 across his last 3 seasons as a head coach. That includes stints at Marshall County and an 0-10 season down in Jasper County, Georgia. Objectively speaking, this prior record does bring up some valid questions. It means the burden of proof is very real, and it instantly raises the dramatic tension for his new tenure in Greenbrier. Can his success as an offensive coordinator translate to the massive turnaround this specific program desperately needs? Section 5. The Make or Break 2026 Season, Restoring Belief. The 2026 season is not just another year on the calendar. It's a true existential moment for the program's culture. On August 21, 2026, the new era officially kicks off at home against White House Heritage. This season opener is vital. It's the very first time the fans, the community, and the players themselves will get to see if this team is actually ready to compete, both schematically and culturally. So the crucial point is, the path forward is going to be incredibly difficult. The projected score margins for 2026 are heavily stacked against them. We're talking being projected down 20 to Liberty Creek, down 35 to White House, and facing a massive 49-point projected deficit against their Robertson County rival Springfield. Coach Pitts is facing a very steep uphill battle in this brutal district slate. And here is the true danger the program faces right now: the trap of incremental improvement. You know, it'd be super easy to set the bar low and just accept another 1 or 2 win season. But if 2-8 becomes the new normal, it solidifies a losing culture. The younger athletes absorb that standard as just the way things are. To keep players from transferring out and to get middle schoolers actually excited about Friday nights again, the program urgently needs visible, systemic progress. They need competitive district games that are decided in the 4th quarter, not the 2nd. We've seen the glorious, record-breaking heights of 2004, the incredibly painful crash of the 2020s, and the steep mountain lying right ahead. But the blueprint for a turnaround totally exists in this program's history. So I'll leave you with this final provocative thought. After 5 long years of decline, can Coach Aaron Pitts restore belief in Greenbrier, or is the magic of Friday nights in Robertson County gone for good? Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and definitely keep your eye on August 21st.